he's a different quarterback. And so when you're talking about Evans is open, well, great. If you can't protect him, what difference does it make who's open, right? Like all the plays you draw up, if he's getting pressure and has to move around and do all those things, he's just a different guy. And so when you start talking about, I felt like it was more of a protection mechanism about his coaching or their calls or whatever, as opposed to what the actual game was. I mean, what they run it 5 times, like an NFL, historic low. I mean, look, they got whipped, right? Flat out whipped. To lay this at the feet of any player, I think is a silly comment at that point. The bottom line is we win as a team, we lose as a team, and they got whipped as a team. And that was offense, defense, special teams. I know he said that the night of the game. Not sure why you're coming back out. I'm not sure if it's, hey, we're trying to make Mike Evans feel like he is part of our offense with AB coming in. I really have no idea why the conversation was, but I heard Key talking about, and it's so true. When you talk about a guy being open, that has nothing to do with where he is in the progression or the read of the play, right? I mean, and I know Key knows more than I do, but it doesn't take a rocket scientist to figure out if he's 2 or 3 in any of these, on Sunday night, you can't get to 2 or 3. You barely get to 1 because of how much freaking pressure they had. So when I'm looking at this, I don't like it, man. I like BA. I like his attitude the majority of the time. But at the end of the day, I thought this was just, this was unnecessary, and Jay Will made a good point. Like, there's some things that they can go unsaid. It's okay, right? Every thought that comes to our mind doesn't have to be projected and discussed in front of everybody, right? Let's have some of those meetings privately, get together. If I was trash, tell me I'm trash in the meeting, right? And then let's move on. Hey, we all were bad, and let's move forward. If it was a fourth quarter, one last play, I didn't make the play, okay, I can see that. But when you talk about getting beat from the first snap to the final whistle, bro, why are we singling out any player? You know what I mean? Like, let's take all 53 and the coaching staff and everybody else and say we got whipped. That's all we need to say.
Man, I wish I could have played with you, Jeff. I really do, because you get it. You certainly get it. Let me ask you this, though. In this situation, you played with, obviously, Peyton Manning, great Hall of Fame quarterback. How will Tom Brady respond to this? Will he just take the quarterback approach, like, I'm just moving on?
I think he has to. You know what I mean? Like, he's not a guy, Peyton's the same way, right? Like, even if he's pissed about it, he's not a guy who's going to go back and try to flash in the media, right? That's just not his personality, whether it was in New England or going to be in Tampa. He's trying to win games and unify this locker room. And he sees, listen, from a guy who has been around as much winning as he has been around, he understands the last thing they need is any division. This is not a team that has been well-oiled, even the last couple weeks, right? I mean, you think about even the Giants game and, barely coming back to win that game. This is not a team that's hitting on all cylinders. He knows the work that's going to be required. So, Key, I'm with you, man. Like, why say anything? Just be like, hey, man, everybody watched that game. Everybody knows this can't be put on one player. I'm just going to move on and try to rally my guys. Because at the end of the day, it's not going to help, right? Like, and he knows that. And I think from the organizational perspective of what's being asked of him to keep the Tampa Bay Buccaneers in, kind of on the straight and narrow, there's no reason to respond. Just go try to play better next week.
Jeff, a team that's on the straight and narrow, when you think about the Kansas City Chiefs, what do you think when people refer to Patrick Mahomes as the GOAT already in his career?
Nah, too early. A great player, absolutely. League MVP, Super Bowl MVP, all of those things. But the whole GOAT conversation, year 3, that's premature in my opinion. And again, I love put. But if it ended today, for what, God forbid, right? Anything like that happened. But if it ended today, is he the best quarterback that's ever played in the NFL? Absolutely not, right? Is he a great football player? Heck yeah, man. I mean, I love watching the guy. But when you start talking about greatest of all time and all of those kind of accolades that people want to put on, we are rushing that because there have been too many guys who have played way too long. You think about Breeze, Brady, Manning, Montana. Like you can go through all these guys, right? These guys had incredible careers and they had lengthy careers, right? So when we're jumping on a bandwagon in 3 years, we're just prisoners of the moment. I think so much of that has to do with social media and expectations and everything being flashed all the time. But to say he's the greatest to play our game, nah, man, not this fast. I can't get it. I can't get on that board.
Interesting, Jeff. You must have been on our call last night because you sound exactly like me. But hey, who is the biggest threat to the GOAT in the Kansas City Chiefs in the AFC?
You know, it's a great question. I like the Bills. You know, we saw them a few weeks ago play, and Allen played poorly. I would probably say the Steelers, though, Key, and here is why. Offensively, they're not nearly as good as the Buffalo Bills, and I completely understand that, even with Big Ben. But he has been in pressure games. He does understand kind of what's expected. But I think the Steelers' defense gives you, they are more opportunistic, right? And so I think they could make more plays keeping everything in front, especially on their back end. And I think that's what it's going to require. You know, Patrick Mahomes and this Chiefs offense have done a really good job of understanding teams aren't going to let you just have one and dones anymore, right? Like last year, you know, all these big plays that they're making, teams are making them earn it a little bit more. But he has fallen, you know, Mahomes has done an incredible job. And again, an MVP job, right? Like we've been talking about Wilson, all these other guys, but you know, same with LeBron and Michael, and you know, look, the guy is still freaking balling, right? Whatever you want to say about him. And so I think it's going to require a team who can get some stops and get some turnovers, because if it's a track meet and you're trying to match scores, I don't think anybody in the NFL can meet that just because of how explosive that Chiefs offense is.
It's a great point. It's a prisoner of the moment thought, but the idea that the team that has the GOAT, the greatest of all time, would be the 2 seed in the AFC playoffs if they started today tells you maybe we should tamp down just a little bit on the GOAT talk. Jeff, it's always great to have you here talking football, man. Thanks very much.
Love being with y'all, man. Have a great one.
Man, I wish I could
Thanks,
play
Jeff.
with him. I wish I could have played with
So
him.
who's the quarterback? He's the center. You're the wide receiver. Who's the quarterback?
It doesn't matter. At that point, I don't really could have been paid, and it could be in any of them. But I wish I could have played with him, though.
Mm-hmm.
Certain guys, they just get you, you know, I can see he got a little bit of an intensity to him that I like.
And he has a lot of grit. You were always a big 5-star, big-time prospect, but he had to fight and claw for everything.
Yeah, but
fight and claw.
offensive linemen don't have that swag like Jeff. Jeff's got that swag, I'm telling you. He got that swag. I don't know where it came from, being a North Carolina guy and all that, but he got that swag.
I'm
No
just
doubt.
glad we got out of that conversation without him talking about how the North Carolina Tar Heels dominated my Blue Devils in football. So that's all.
That was a tough one this weekend. Sam Howell was unbelievable. Duke got murdered this weekend, by the way.
Yep.
Jeff Saturday on the
very
Shell Pennzoil
aggressive.
performance.
Yeah, that was
Trust me.
That was very aggressive.
very aggressive.
I was doing halftime of the game. It was like 42-0 at the half. It was 42-0 at the
Oh, you
half.
called halftime?
Yeah, I was there for that.
Thanks, Jeff, for not
I'm like
rubbing it in.
you, bro.
Time to
I
go to
got a
break.
couple jobs too, man. I got a couple jobs too.
I got to check you out now. I didn't even realize that. Okay.
Keyshawn J. Will Zubin presented by Progressive Insurance. On the way, we heard Jeff's answer. It's going to be the Steelers. We heard Dan Orlovsky this morning. The answer is the Bills.